Gordon is a very fast engine and is proud of pulling the express. Stanley is a smaller, sort of a tank engine who often takes passengers to Brendam or goods around the island. One morning, Gordon had just backed down to his express when Stanley arrived to take his train. "Have fun stopping at all your local stations," Gordon chuckled. "It'll be nice to whoosh past you when you do." "Show off," muttered Stanley. The two trains were due to leave. As the guards blew their whistles, Gordon tried to set off very fast to show how fast he was, but jolted the coaches so much a coupling came loose and came undone whilst it was still in the platform. Gordon had to stop, and she angrily watched Stanley steam away along the main line. That evening, the engines laughed at Gordon for his mistake. Gordon was not happy, and was determined to prove himself the next day. When the morning came, he got to the station extra early. Stanley was already there, arranging his coaches. "You're here early, Gordon," he remarked. "But then, if you start early, by the time you wait for your coaches to be decoupled, you'll be on time." "Be quiet," Gordon snapped, and Stanley set off. James arrived 2 minutes later with the goods train. "Ready to go, Gordon? I'm going to be right behind you." Not for long. I'll be way ahead of you soon enough." Gordon started again, with such a jolt that his driver fell right out of the cab. The guard screwed on the brakes hard, and the coaches all clanged into each other. Passengers shouted angrily, and the guard had to check that all of them were unhurt. The train was so late leaving, in fact, that James left first and took Gordon's path. Gordon had to wait longer and longer. When he at last got the all clear, he tried to be as fast as possible. But just before Crosby, he found himself going onto the wrong line. Instead of being on the fast express line, he was now on the slow stopping line and had caught up right with Stanley. Signal after signal was red. At last, Gordon was fed up. "I'll show that good-for-nothing tank engine what to do!" And Gordon sped up, so fast that he knocked both his driver and his fireman out of the cab. Faster and faster he went, thinking he was being very clever. "Driver! Driver! Oh no! Help!" Gordon sped up. The back of Stanley's train was approaching. "What?" Stanley asked, surprised, and suddenly saw Gordon racing towards him. "Oh my goodness!" Stanley sped up as hard as he could, but Gordon hit him with quite a bump. "What's going on?" he cried. "I can't stop!" wailed Gordon. "Somebody help me!" Wellsworth flew past, and all the passengers began to complain as they just missed their station. A signalman switched the points so the engines could stay on the main line. Stanley began to brake as hard as he could, but Gordon was very strong and very heavy. "Will we ever stop?" Gordon moaned. "We can use the hill," Stanley said, as the gradient began to steepen. Sure enough, the hill did slow the trains down, especially with Stanley's constant braking. The guard of Gordon's express coach hadn't any idea what was going on until he suddenly realised that something was wrong. He looked out of the window, saw everything in front, and screwed on the brakes. Stanley's guard did the same. Gordon was running out of coal, and his fire was going out. The whole train slowly came to a stop at the top of the hill. Then they slowly rolled back down to the bottom. Edward arrived, and together he and Stanley took the long train back to Wellsworth. Loco took the express, and Stanley set off with his coaches to Brendam. Gordon had to wait in the yard until Stanley came back later on to take him back to Knapford. The driver and fireman were at the doctor's having a few cuts and bruises checked over from their fall, so Gordon couldn't make it back alone. "I'm sorry, Stanley," Gordon said as the two engines went home. "I was silly to think you were a useless local engine. You are very brave indeed." "Well, at least we stopped," Stanley said modestly. He chuckled, as did Gordon, and the two new friends steamed home.